We welcome you back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We pivot from Browns talk to Guardians talk. And guys, I'm sure you're well aware of the fact that earlier this week, Emmanuel Clase did something that's only happened once in team history, and that's to record a save in 4 straight days. Of course, Jose Mesa, the great closer of the mid-'90s for the Indians, also did that. When you start looking at closers in baseball and the gap between Emmanuel Clase, who now seems to be in a class all by himself, and the gap between he and number 2, is that gap bigger, Bull, than in any other sport at any other position?
There's only 2 others that came to mind when I thought about this. Patrick Mahomes.
That's the one I thought of.
And believe it or not, maybe some people will disagree, I think the other one's in football too, Justin Tucker.
Oh, okay. Maybe not so much today,
that's
but
arguable.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's hard to make a case. I think being a quarterback in the NFL is ultimately harder, so I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. In baseball, certainly, there's nobody else. You'd say, what about Aaron Judge? Well, I'll give you what about Shohei Ohtani? I mean, they're basically even in terms of hitters. Starting pitcher, is Tarek Skubal the best starting pitcher right now? Sure, but he's close with a bunch of other guys. I could go almost any position in baseball and almost any position in football. In basketball, Jokic is the best player, but there's not a massive gap between him and the next few guys.
Easy.
What? He's not the best player? He's won MVP.
He likes Giannis.
Yeah, but he's not. Jokic won, 3 MVPs in a row?
No,
Don't even engage in this.
Right now, Bull, you're right. There is no argument.
I think it's either Mahomes or Clase, and I'll go with Mahomes, but Clase definitely in baseball.
Man, it's not even close, man. I wouldn't even give you and I like Patrick Mahomes, but there's other quarterbacks that if they're at the top of their game, they can win championships. I think Joe Burrow he's shown he could beat the Chiefs. I think Josh Allen is a great quarterback. There's other teams that if you put those guys around great players, they could possibly beat the Chiefs. When you look at Emmanuel Clase at this point, right now he comes in the game, you're done. He steps on the field, you're out of here. At least like if you playing in the NFL, it's a lot of things that got to happen. And
it's hard to compare it.
It's hard to compare.
Yeah.
But I just think when you talk about his stuff and the way he's able to come in and blow it past people. I mean, guys are up there just looking now. Yeah. Dudes up there fanning at pitches they don't got no shot at. Right now, especially if he has an ERA under 1, I think he got a good chance to win a Cy Young. I'm going to go with Clase.
What's amazing, too, by the way, is he has his lowest strikeout rate of his career, Clase. He's averaging under 8 strikeouts per 9 innings.
That's what's important. He gets ground ball after ground ball.
And he doesn't walk anybody. He's averaging 1 walk per 9 innings, which
Very
is absurd.
Impressive.
I don't think you can. I think we made it clear that it's between Mahomes and Clase at most dominant at their thing. I don't think you can just say that Mahomes is clearly Clase, because when Mahomes is out there, it's only been, one quarterback that's beat him, and that's Joe in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily make that argument. Now, I will say, right now, today, if Clase goes out there, it's over with. You might as well put the bats down and go ahead and walk off and shake hands because it's over with. So I will say, today, I would give him that. But overall, Patty is the most dominant player.
I have to go with Mahomes as the most dominant because it's the most important position in sports.
Right. There's so much more being asked of you there.
Way more.
Yeah.
You're asked essentially to participate in about 5% of the game's action when you're the closer. When you're the quarterback, you're participating in 50% of the game's action. Yeah. And also, he has the hardware. He's collecting Super Bowl trophies.
Yeah. Right.
And right now, he's the closest thing we've seen to a dynasty since Brady and the Patriots. So I think it is that. And the other thing, when I started looking at this, I go, you know what? I'm very familiar with the American League closers, but before I answer this question, let me look at the National League closers. I'm going to give you a name that's way off the radar.
Ryan Heisey.
Nope. I agree. He's having a great year.
For the Braves.
Rizal Iglesias. Yeah. Have you looked at his stats?
Yeah, he's been excellent.
Roberto
Suarez has been excellent.
Suarez is another one. So you can add up these guys that are all having. But when you look at Iglesias, he's pitched in 11 fewer games. So obviously he's got 12 fewer saves.
Yeah.
But when you look at his whip, it's lower. When you look at his walks per 9, it's lower. His strikeouts, higher.
The only person ahead of Clase on any of these, by the way, are the player you're referring to, Jay.
That's it.
That's
and
literally
so
it.
because of that.
Is his team in first place?
Well, that's a different story.
Well, they,
I mean, but that,
well,
that contributes a little
Ronald
bit.
Acuna went down. It was
exactly.
Listen,
That's why I would say it's a
and
different
also
story.
the difference is Patrick Mahomes has been the best quarterback by a lot for, 4 or 5 years now?
Yes, he has.
Whereas Clasé's been one of the best closers for the last few years, but this is the first time he's pulled away from, I think, from the rest of the group.
Quickly, we can wrap this up. Does he win the Cy Young?
No.
No.
Yes.
Wow,
For the
look at
first
that.
time, I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Because, not that this is the end-all, be-all, but ESPN predictor for Cy Young has him not just winning it, but winning it by a lot over Skubal. Now, I don't know what that is. I don't know how they measure it, but he's got a huge gap in points.
He does.
But Vegas always knows the answer to this. And right now, he is a long shot and the 4th pick in the American League behind Skubal.
Let me ask you guys one more question on Clase before
Sure.
we wrap up. We all are in agreement that Clase is the most dominant player in baseball, has the biggest gap between where he is and then the second best player. Who would be second on that list where the gap is the biggest? Is it Aaron Judge? Is it Ohtani?
Shohei Ohtani.
Skubal?
For me, it's Ohtani because obviously his situation. He's one of the best pitchers and he's one of the best hitters. And nobody else can measure that.
I can't even put that on a.
Yeah.
He's not pitching this year.
Yeah, that's the
but
only thing.
Not.
He's not pitching.
He's not, but he's still one of the most
By the
dominant
way,
baseball players.
What about Bobby Witt?
He's
Jr.?
fantastic. But let me tell you something about Ohtani. I know this is not a round number, so people are not going to make a thing about it. First of all, there's only been 5 players in the history of baseball that have done 40-40.
Oh, I know where you're going. Yeah.
Nobody has ever done 42-42.
Which is odd.
He has 37 homers and 35 steals with 40 games.
He
to go.
will get to 42-42,
He might
barring
get
an injury.
He's got an outside shot to get to 50-50. I don't think he'll quite get
He'd
there.
have to get really aggressive to do that, and I don't know that you want him to do that with his injury and
Man,
everything
he just
else.
stole 2 bases in the last game they played.
maybe
or
he
2
will
games
then.
ago. I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
he's putting up crazy numbers.
It is pretty nuts. Look, one way or another, let's just say this. We are so lucky to have Emmanuel Clase as
Beyond
our closer
lucky, yeah.
because he's turned everything into an 8-inning game.
And by the way, Josh Hader this offseason signed a 5-year, $95 million contract.
How much is Clase getting?
Guardians have Clase, if you include this year, for the next 5 years, again, including this year, they have him for just over $30 million in those 5 years.
One of the biggest bargains in sports.
Yes.